Thank you very much. Now we will have to run straight to the panel discussion because we have our guest here. And like in good families, we have to cover up for our little issues inside that we're running late. So first, I would really like to thank our one of our guests, but to wish him a really warm welcome. This is Nicola Bertolini, who is recently joined the European delegation team here in Serbia in a capacity of Chief of Cooperation. So just a quick welcome and to give you a word before we start our interesting conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, she said recently, it's already 1 year, but I got lost in time and space in this year, dealing with a lot of problems. But I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I also invite our guest, our interlocutor this time, Professor Čedo Maksimović, on behalf of euPOLIS project. Please join us. Nicola, you can pick a seat. Stanislava Bošković, again representing a profession which I belong as well, which is urban designer, planner, architect. And Predrag Voštinić from local front Kraljevo, Vox Populi this time, like voice of civil sector and activist. And my name is Maja Lalić from Mikser organization, architect myself. But today we had a very interesting day, and just to introduce a little bit topic to Nicola. This is the first in-person gathering of an international euPOLIS project, which is supported by European Commission Horizon 2020 project. At the very core of our project is implementation and practice of nature-based solutions in contemporary cities with the main purpose of enhancing their quality of life, well-being and health above all. So very much lately I've been at least very much fascinated by the data, because we're missing a lot of data here in Serbia, and it's hard to be at shoulder to shoulder with other cities in this project because we're missing a lot of public data which could be useful. But for instance, the World Happiness Index, which is sort of measuring how happy a nation is, and it's coming more to more in everyday conversations. That's why people are really now analyzing themselves. Are we happy? Let's see what criteria. So in the case of World Happiness Index, just to read the criteria is like a GDP, so economy is really important in that. The healthy life expectancy, how long do we live? Are we healthy? Social support in terms of do you have someone to lean on in your community? Are you alone? Do you have empathy? Also, how aware this society is on kind of helping each other, generosity, donations, and freedom to make key life decisions. And according to the World Happiness Index this year, top at least 5, if not 10 countries are coming from Europe and Northern Europe, with Finland being one at the top for many years now. So my question to you, First of all, I congratulate the European Union for having such a high rank to be happiest nations in the world. Have you understood what is really the secret of happiness of these Northern European people? Do you think we can somehow replicate it now that you've been already here for a year in the Balkans, mentality-wise, situation, political, economic-wise? And what do you think, among these things that I was reading as criteria of the World Happiness Index, what do you think is the most flaming, urging kind of issue for Serbia to address so that we can all be a little bit more happy nation, in your opinion? Yes.
So first of all, thank you for this invitation, and it's the first time in many years that I'm called to talk about an issue, happiness, because I was always called for meetings to talk about problems and sadness, but never about happiness. So it takes me a bit unprepared. But let's start. I've been many years in the Western Balkans. I've been working for the last 15 years. And I also came to Serbia several times, but now I'm living here. So just another doctor, I recently went to a doctor because I did my exams and something was not very good. So the doctor said, okay, now you take all these pills, you drink only water for 6 weeks and we see each other. I said, what? Doctor, I'm living here, I cannot stay without alcohol. So I mean, this is pretty sure. I mean, I cannot survive without alcohol. So this is, and then what is true, it happened really. So why the Nordic countries are happy or happier? I would say first because they are not very eager to fight for something else. They are very shy, and but no, the true thing is that the quality of life is higher. Quality of life meaning the rule of law is a true story. It's not like here. I mean, here I never see police stopping somebody to make stupid things. Never. I see people throwing garbage out of a window, the same we were doing in Italy 50 years ago. So I mean, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So rule of law. I mean, you have to behave, and the system supports you also. So that you feel that you have all the social security, you have your possibility to work, you have opportunity. So it's a number of parameters that are very important in the life. Important is that health and environment are at the top. So you consider this as very important goods, common goods. So you don't look only at your garden, but you look at the others. Then another element for me is quite important to note, and that I think that nowadays the Serbia that I know more the last year is a Serbia that it is difficult to see a future. There is, I mean, for me, happiness, and I see my son happy because he projects himself in the future. I want to be that, I want to be that. And here people are sad. People do not see easily the future. And probably this depends also on many factors, and being a diplomat is better that I don't talk too much about these factors. But of course, I don't see happiness in the people. While in Italy, you can see happiness in the people. You can see also desperations, but you see people with happy faces. Here is more difficult, at least in Belgrade.
I agree from personal view that you really pointed out this sight to a future is really not that optimistic for us. But I was always with these ratings. Serbia, according to World Happiness Index, is on the 47th place, way before Croatia, for instance. Slovenia is 22nd. But to make things even more complicated, there is another discourse saying, okay, we cannot just watch if societies are well off, economy is good. Let's see how impact is made on the natural resources. Therefore, we have now the Happy Planet Index, which is taking into account all of that, plus a little bit more emphasis on the well-being, how we perceive it personally, plus how everything that a country does reflects on its imprint, or it's like all divided by the footprint we create. And you would probably be surprised that Serbia is on the 22nd place, again much higher than, for instance, Finland, which is, let's say, the most happiest nation according to the World Happiness. So figures are amazing, you know. I mean, they tell us a lot, but they can also play with our sanity a little bit. But this other index, Happy Planet Index, this is why I like it better, because it also makes us think not only of ourselves, but of what we create around ourselves. And to me, it seems that the European Green Deal is sort of coming along these ideas, to create circular economy, to leave no one behind, to see how it really affects also the injustices of a society. And here we have Čedo, who is an expert in hydro engineering, but he's working along these lines in the saving water, in the circular manner. And now after I don't know how many years of doing actual work for other happier countries, but always coming back to Serbia, advocating for much more holistic approaches. Now, Čedo, you have a chance through this project to finally implement one really small demo intervention of a very holistic wastewater treatment, which is not harmful, which is really, it's paradoxical. Someone will say, well, it's treating shitty water. How come it can affect well-being? So that's to just explain a little bit what this little thing can do and how multifunctional it is.
First of all, I would like to cite some results of medical research. There is a research, there's a lot of results in the same hospital, people suffering from the same type of illnesses, people of the same social structure, same age, same whatever. Put them after the surgery in a room facing concrete wall, another room facing the green. You'll see here, when we have lunch break, how nicely little things with green spaces, with flowers, with the grass, with the nicely organized things mean much more often than having higher salary or having a bigger flat or more the car or a jeep, whatever. So sometimes this feeling of the nature and the return back of this green human interaction gives much more wealth and happiness and all than other material things. Of course, you need money to buy all the food and pay the bills and so on. If you don't have it, you are not happy, of course. But if you have all these met basic necessities, then some other things may contribute much more to your happiness than something else, having second car, or bigger house and so on. And these things I've seen in many countries which are much lower standard, but as Nicola said, people are happy. People are happy, you see them in the street. You cannot find many things in the shops. They have no money to buy, but they are not unhappy.
Costa Rica is the #1 according to the Happy Planet Index,
Cuba,
for instance.
Cuba, 50 years ago, we couldn't buy anything in the shop, but people go to work and everybody's happy and singing. I'm not advocating copying that model, but it is just a methodology that there is something else in this nature and human interactions. And that's what I realized through all these projects for years and years. And that's why I'm devoting more and more time. I've shown you this morning my car park, which is not big investment. There are people around who have much more money. They have 3 cars, whatever, and with kind of garage and the locking thing. Mine is open and with flowers and so on. And my daughter said, why do you stay here with these kind of, wouldn't say low class people without taste. Why don't you come, there is another place which is much richer. I enjoy being in my little garden and having a beautiful view over the sea. And there is much more in little things than, at least for me. And that's why I'm devoting my time to try to implement these things in here. These things in here, Maya is mentioning this kind of vision. There is a company in London with the vehicle that says, shit is our business. So we have here a big problem that the governmental structure being obsessed with the grabbing wealth is pushing for the traditional, old-fashioned, very expensive, energy-hungry, space-hungry spaces for treating wastewater. We will see, you've seen it from this company, euPOLIS, which is our partner, having technology which is require much less space, greener, nicer, energy efficient, and all things, but you cannot implement it here. No single plant is, they're planning 300 whatever, all these big elephant, dinosaurs technologies, and you cannot. So we are happy that in this project we will hopefully have, we'll see today afternoon, the Eco-Edu Hub, a small scale, very small, just less than 1 liter per second, demonstration installation where you can demonstrate it works. People usually say we don't implement because we don't know it doesn't work. It works. It works on 300, whatever more.
Just to explain a little bit, it's a decentralized facility that can really be stretchable. It can be treating water of a single kindergarten, or it can be projected to cover a much larger settlement, but it's not polluting. It's not using this, what Čedo calls 19th century technology. You can build right next to it. It looks like a beautiful green house. It really shows the circularity. It shows the role of plants in it, and how really it creates different residue products that can be used for, kind of fertiling grounds. And plus, on top of everything, it serves as educational hub. It serves as a gathering place. And just to really kind of comment highly of the recent calls on the European Commission, maybe 20 years ago, you're not supposed to speak of happiness when you discuss really important topics of urban planning. It was more different indexes and things like this, indicators. Now we're talking about happiness. And also, we were supposed to go together on a call of forest healing that was just launched by the European Commission. My husband thought it was a joke because it also mentions mandalas and ways to use nature to treat all these illnesses of contemporary society. So we're getting there. We're like, that's why the treatment of, let's say, the toilet water can become really nice hub for people to interact. So my question now goes to urban planners and architects who are often just servants of the ruling political option. They're also awaking now. They're taking these educational roles, as at least Stanislava is, being the architect who's really interested in connecting science with architect and urban planning, and how it can really help us to improve the health of the citizens. So not only of the physical health, but how can urban planning help in all these even diseases, because the cities are getting bigger, we're alienated, it's hard to connect maybe. So that's another responsibility. Like Ranko said, everyone needs to deposit money if doing a project. Only urban planners, they don't have to guarantee with anything of the bad outcomes of their project. So what is euPOLIS changing the game?
Well, thank you very much, Maya, for this question, because I truly believe that architects and urban designers and planners can do a lot of things. We are not omnipotent, so not everything, but certainly yes. And it's true that many errors have been done over the past decades, that industrialization brought some serious issues in our cities, including those related to health and environment, which are somehow two most important elements to have the feeling, even if subjective, of happiness. And I think that we can learn a lot from past experiences. It's true that now it's a very fashionable aspect of health and well-being. We have time to think about it, while before it was not that on agenda of our architectural but it was always at the very center of good projects, always. I mean, Nicola inspires me to remember one of the projects from 15th century of Leonardo da Vinci, who did Ideal City for Milano as a response to a big disease, pest, I'm not sure, the infective, yes, disease, and he created an ideal city to guarantee hygiene and to guarantee health and therefore happiness. And there are many examples, obviously, over the history in that, and I believe that every innovation, even in our discipline, is based on a knowledge of the past and rereading the experiences that was performed in past. And I believe that sometimes being behind in the classifications, in the rankings, also gives an advantage to learn and maybe not to repeat some errors, but to learn and to see how the conditions we are dealing in can somehow allow to really improve our future project, and also to accept, and this is something that we in euPOLIS are discussing, to accept also that some of the decisions can be changed, even the design decision, because the conditions are changing. And we are not, the city is not static, it's a very dynamic organism. And so when conditions are changing, we are changing with them. So if Italian cities 50 years ago were similar to what can be seen here, so I think it could be taken as an advantage and think how Belgrade can use a new specific context linked decisions to really improve that. And I have to say, on a personal, even if professional note, that the perception of happiness is subjective, definitely. I'm not sure that in Helsinki, for instance, I see much more happiness on the first sight than in Belgrade, or at least I feel quite happy in Belgrade, but I obviously understand the aspect you are talking about. So, yeah.
You're completely right, because a lot of people debate on this, because, for instance, the Happy Planet is really counting on this subjective feeling. They're asking citizens, and we will come later to the issue of participation, because that's a way to avoid mistakes, at least be in sync with the times and what citizens are wanting. But what I'm trying to say, that in many of these ranking criteria, there is no human rights incorporated, though some elements of, are you being happy, do you feel you make your own decisions in, about your life, is sort of like a secondary effect of this. So I would like to ask Predrag, you are actually coming from the activist world to us, coming from a city which is not Belgrade, in a very centralized country. So, and now knowing that Serbia is 26 according to Happy Planet, or 47th according to World Happiness Index, how do you feel? Like you've been part of many different initiatives. What do you think that Serbians are the most unhappy about in this country?
Injustice. Maybe one word probably would be quite enough to describe everything that they feel like unhappy about. Injustice is not only in legal frame of capacity of meaning, but also injustice in terms of being able to participate in their own lives, which is one kind of feeling justice involved. If you feel like able to control and to be part of your own life. But as you said earlier, since it's obviously a very subjective way of feeling then injustice is also subjective way of feeling something. But there is also that we as a community create to feel in certain ways. So injustice is also promoted from very high levels of officials, government officials, and authorities.
I see that South American kind of relate.
Maybe, but if you like take a look at newspapers or insight from electronic media, you will probably perceive that suffering is promoted, not happiness. Suffering is something that you need to co-work in. You need to suffer or to be compassion. In comparison with compassioning and passioning, there is 3 small letters, but being passionate about is something that we really need to be co-authors of our own happiness. Being passionate about politics, being passionate about culture, about other human being, or whatever we would probably be entering in, is something that we really need more than being suffering and compassion about.
I've been exploring to understand like what these evaluators are considering under well-being. So there are these 5 pillars saying that you have when you're connected, you feel okay. Then it's advisable to be active, of course, physically, then to really observe reality and be active on a kind of political level, to really go in and have that passion that you're basically mentioning, but also be actively engaged by, offering help to others, be empathetic in a way. So it's a lot of that are being, but as Nicola said, I feel like all these pillars are being, every day systematically ruined without this hope to strive. And so let's say if you would pick one field that you think for yourself would make you feel much more hopeful in this society, what do you think you would bet on?
No, not one field, but probably the whole thing about how do we feel ourselves and how do we ourselves in this community, then we'll probably need to think about context and content. Context is something that we are given, but content is something that we need to co-create. So we need to take a kind of decisions in our life and our lives to be considered as people that are given something that is more able to make. Like something is possible, which is promoted completely in an opposite way. In our media, in our promotion of government and their officials, is that it's not possible to take control of your life.
That's why, sorry for favoring the female representative here, but why I wanted to go back to participation. I see there's a really huge key, and I'm always hoping that some big, powerful, big brother hand will come and help us to make certain criteria mandatory when it comes to urban planning. And somehow I don't see this being on agendas too much of a European Commission, but participation and involving citizens in really creating this feeling of being able to influence. This is what this project is about. We're organizing this meeting with people where we do interventions. We go, we talk to them, they bring us their knowledge. We ask what do they lack, what do they need, what is the demographics, are there many children, what types of generations are there, and so on. So can you explain a little bit of also how can we measure this? Because one thing is to create it, but within this project, we also need to prove it afterwards. So we need to develop some mechanisms, like follow-up mechanisms, and try to be responsible, unlike Ranko is suggesting. Let's guarantee that we can stay in touch with those people. We can tell us how euPOLIS is thinking.
Well, the participation and the dialogue that we are building with citizens, also with other experts who are also citizens, and also with governments who are also citizens of the city where we are dealing, it's incredibly important, this dialogue, and the process of creation of communication, as you were saying in the presentation, is much more than just giving an information. It's involving and really learning from citizens, learning about their needs, learning about their habits, and responding in a very quick way to their necessities. Because today one of the characteristics of, let's say, new wave of urban design is that many decisions have to be taken very rapidly, and then they can change, as I was saying before. So I think that the dialogue that we are building with the users of the spaces we are creating is crucial to lead us to better decisions, and also to then create from the dialogue something that is even more important, which is trust. Trust in us as a specialist, trust in users as, of course, a source of the needed information for our project decisions in future.
And also this ownership that we really, and the passion about our place, because when you said the garbage thrown out of maybe they're mad all the time, maybe they hate that building, maybe they feel like this whole neighborhood is really a mess. They don't relate to this as their own kind of extended, not property, but ownership and sense of belonging. But since I'm not a diplomat here, Nicola, and when Stanislava said the government members are also citizens, I sometimes have a feeling that they feel that they're not citizens, that they're sort of above this category, because I would just reflect on this situation today. We were supposed to have a representative of a city of Belgrade, which is official partner in this project, which sort of, as a hot potato or something that is only administrative baggage, shifted to the Secretariat for Environmental Protection. Then again, none of the ladies there could find time or, to come today and meet all the other partners, because this is the first time everyone is meeting. So we have a feeling that this is a fantastic opportunity, that these beyond state-of-the-art, innovative things, with the support of European projects and funding, can really be implemented. Maybe it's a drop that can become an ocean, but being a diplomat, but also dealing with this cooperation with the government of Serbia or the city of Belgrade, what is your feeling? What is your impression? We know that Serbia is probably not using all the possibilities when it comes to European funding. We see it really, for us, it was the only possibility. Čedo is working here for 30, 40 years. This is the first time he's managing through, I call this a boomerang effect. Through European project, you're coming to your own courtyard, you're implementing something that the world really honors you for and engages you for. But so how would you rank Serbia on that area of collaboration, using European funds to do something really innovative? You can be diplomat, I can translate what you say.
Imate drugi pitanja? Ne. Okay. No, honestly. In a scale between 1 and 10, where 1 is very bad and 10 is very good, Serbia is certainly below 5. The problem of Serbia, and I've been working deeply in North Macedonia and Montenegro and in the whole region from Brussels, but I lived in Macedonia and Montenegro. The Serbia that I found today, or in 1 year, is not the Serbia that I knew 10 years ago. The public sector changed. The state capture increased. And there are a lot of good experts in the public administration that are not talking, are not communicating, because they are afraid. So there is a blockage. The lack of future, the lack of hope, you can see in these people that I meet every day. In the use of funds, well, my work is to get this better, and indeed it's not easy, because I think that the political masters of this country do not have a vision about having Serbia part of the European Union. In the daily work, I don't see this. I could see in some declaration of the president, but in my counterparts, I don't see this. So they do not realize the fact that if Serbia gets into the right process, the accession could happen in 7, 8 years. When accession will happen, Serbia will receive 10 times or more the funds they receive today from European Union.
But you see,
Today, Serbia manages 1/3 of what they received. We are spending altogether around 200 million euro per year in Serbia for a lot of projects, 400 projects in all the sectors. And I have 398 problems, generally. So the seminar was done before about projects. Remember one thing, there are always more money available than good projects. A good project only, but I finish. So in few years, Serbia will have to manage 30 times what I manage today. So this mission is impossible. But it's impossible because the managers do not have a vision. They don't foresee that they need people. They need to create skills, capacity. They have to open the dialogue. They have to involve civil society. All this is still to happen.
But as Predrag said, maybe that's a part of the strategy to keep us in the kind of suffering, not that enthusiastic level. But thank you. That's really sobering up. I suddenly don't feel like joking anymore. But yeah, this is what we also really feel. And when you said managers, it completely relates to my feeling that sometimes it's a company owned by certain people.
No, I'm talking about the ministers.
No.
Above.
Yes, I understand. But same, yeah, organization. Sorry, it's organization. But for instance, Čedo, if you could make these decisions for the next 10 years, at least let's take Belgrade as a city because you work with cities. What would be your priorities?
The biggest priority is to unleash creative people to make it happen. Here you have a system where only the obedient people can get a job, can have a say, people with creativity, with knowledge, they have either to run through their own private business where they have chance to do something. Working through the system, no way. They will be blocked or fired or painted black or whatever because they don't fit in the system. System is run by one man who makes all the decision, and all the others have to fit into that, and who doesn't fit into that, he's out of the business. A lot of creative, young, capable, intelligent, enthusiastic people are simply pushed aside and they don't see the future. They don't see possibility that their knowledge and their creativity can do something, can make a change. And that is the main problem of this whole system. The whole system is not giving a chance to these creative people. And that is very small number of people can do it, but not through the official system. And that is also people who are already there, working in the ministries, in the local government. You have to be either obedient, you have to applaud, you have to mention President every day, you have to say that he's genius and he's making right things every day. She's sometimes very much, I wouldn't say disgusting, but discouraging creativity and unleashing this kind of positive emotions and work enthusiasm, which makes people happy. People will be much happy with less money, but having an impact. They see their ideas going through, and they don't see it. And they say, no way, I'm going, as soon as the young people graduate, going to find a job somewhere else. It's not much different in Croatia, who is member of the, it's a similar system. Same. They would go to Ireland first. I don't know why Ireland, but I know 60% of young graduates in Croatia go to Ireland and then jump somewhere else, Germany and so on. I don't know why Ireland.
It's a new migration. The summer,
anyway,
all the Serbian people.
So the answer to that is people will be happy if they can integrate into positive process. And positive process means also what we are trying to do, this kind of introduce this innovative way of thinking, new way of city planning, and not only city planning, but making your own life better organized and see the results. Develop your own sense of ownership of these solutions. People don't see a chance here. They simply, whatever they know, they've seen it, the other people, whatever they try to do, they will be knocked down and they will be discouraged of doing things or being said that they are mafia, they are tycoons, they are goodness knows what, foreign pay. I always, you know that, I always say I'm foreign paid guy because I live I work and I'm paid by the foreign university. The strani plaćenik. This is the guy paid by some foreign agency to promote something against us. Such a nasty, simple, primitive way of doing things is discouraging people from being creative and making things. And that is, I think, most important part of people being unhappy.
Nicola mentioned this is not Serbia I used to know 10 years ago. Some would say this is not Serbia, or at least the area as it was many, many decades ago. I wanted to ask Predrag, do you see connection with these Scandinavian countries? Because if we look at why are they happy, it's free education, free health care, public interest, trust among people. I don't know whether you heard it. I'm loving this so much, I'm going to use it. Like there's a lollipop index. You know about it, like it's a distance, how far the kid can go with you not being worried to get a lollipop because there's a huge trust, it's safe and so on. So does that remind you of our socialist heritage a little bit?
Sometimes yes, but as Nicola just mentioned a couple of minutes ago that this is not Serbia he remembers from 10 years ago. That's also not Serbia from 40 years ago. But what actually we miss is not taking a look at the past that much as we need to take a look at the future. My generation is afraid of this coming winter, and energy crisis is something that tells them, well, be aware of gas prices and electricity prices and everything. But friends of ours who were born after 2000 are thinking of energy crisis that happens in 10 or 20 years. My generation almost doesn't care about that. My generation still takes a side from 1980s and said, well, we've been safer then, well, we've been traveling, red passport, you know, that was the topic for my generation, which I might find silly, because I really have a kid with really limited distance to get a lollipop safe. Not because of being taken or trafficked, for example, but I'm afraid of traffic itself. I'm afraid of emotions that might come to my kid as a a kid of someone in very small community that's more libertarian views than the average. She was told that she might not be safe because someone in there very near community supports Euro Pride, for example. That makes Lollipop very next to your house and the building you live in. So we need to take care of what it's actually future, not only the past. We need to take that insight from the future, not from the past, and we need to have youth involved to have that insight. It's you called it a boomerang. What Professor said earlier, it's boomerang, of course, but what I'm seeing, it's also a boomerang. It's seeing from Professor. I really liked the intervention. Maybe that was the most impact one from the whole panel session. Today, the last one. But boomerang is that we are getting insights from past rather than from the future. So we need to have that insight to define empathy, because we also like to see ourselves as people who are in like, humanitarian work. We like to donate cents to people in front of buildings, in front of churches, and also to help someone who is hungry or thirsty. But we are not supportive community. We are not supporting creativity. We are not supporting someone who is going to enter business model of his own, to present him or to even give him as a hint or gift money or something that we are able to promote ourselves, or to be supportive to someone, for example, being feminine and trying to making a big enterprise. Shall we enter that as a open person and provide him with something that we are capable of? That's community that we would like to probably make, and we are coming to a closure sentence that when you see no happy people, please make one happy, which is the nearest, just next to you.
Exactly. That's really, you've already ahead of me, because I was going to ask you all for your final message from this gathering today. One more thing that you inspired me for, isn't this youth sort of waking up? I think this whole happiness topic is entering the political world. We're having more and more initiatives. We're having street protests claiming that happiness, not only in the area of environmental protection, which is really a great thing to describe the level of awareness we're having now in Serbia. So can we be hopeful for this? What is your kind of feeling towards the future political life in Serbia?
Definitely. I mean, when there is no happy people, make happy people. When there is no future, make future. For my generation, is not making future better, but possible. Youth will make it better. And we need to make the future possible, not imposing the frame from the pasts, but to give them future to create them. And maybe in most lucky ways to co-create the future with them, because it's their planet, it's their future. It's not something that we need to recreate for someone and to give them as a gift. No, we need to make it possible and to give them a frame within they can co-create and be creative, as Professor said. I still think that was the most impactful.
Luckily, we're filming this, so you say make future. You say make person next to you happy. I say make co-creation sort of mandatory when it comes to urban planning and design process. Now you can go this way or this way, like we need this kind of a... Okay, please.
No, well,
the
just
message
to continue,
we're sending.
Yes, make dialogue possible, and this just follows what was said, and dialogue and trust between the creators and the users of our spaces, and focus on planet and, of course, the citizens, so human-focused and planet-centric dialogue that has to be at the basis of our activities in urban design.
Nicola, please.
Well, I fully agree with everything was said. Be part of your future. So be you as an actor of your future. And of course, young people should be given the real possibility to express and to decide also about their future. So be active. This is absolutely necessary.
Be active in eliminating obstacles to create all of this, I could say. Čedo?
It's difficult to say something new because most of the important things are already said. But be creative, be active, be proactive, whatever. People can always try to do it, and they see they've seen it and we cannot make it because the key decision factor, there is no strategy in the country. There's no strategy in any ministry, in health, in environment, transportation, energy. Everything is, let's fix the bugs or the patches of today. There's no strategy in long term. Absolutely in anything. I've tried to see whether there is any strategy. Absolutely not. Everything is short term, and seeing how this elite could grab some of the wealth and move it from the public financing to private ones, to the inner circle of the people who are co-owners of these big. Today I've heard they say public greenery in Belgrade is going to be privatized. Energo project privatized. World-class firm is privatized and doesn't exist. If they privatize this Belgradski zelenilo, tomorrow we will not have even this little effort possible.
So to sum up, maybe to also for citizens to be wise and choose wisely. They knew what I was going to say. Use the opportunities to express your will whenever it's crucial. What happens? Okay, dropping the mic. And maybe to add that let's protect the common values and not letting everything get privatized. Someone needs to defend the interest of the public. Thank you, everyone. And now, under my happiness index, the food is waiting for us. Oh, and please, we just need to make one group collective photo right in front of this. Don't run towards lunch. Let's first have this memory. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Oh, one more information. We will have a little surprise at the main stage outside once we get our photo done, okay?